shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So today we are reviewing Anora, which won the Best Picture of 2024 at the Academy Awards recently, and directed by Sean Baker, whose other film I've seen is The Florida Project, which I really liked. That starred Willem Dafoe. Haven't seen his other films. So Mikey Madison won Best Actress, and of course she is known for Better Things, which is a pretty good series with Pamela Adlon playing her mother, formerly known as Pamela Segal. And she was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by director Quentin Tarantino. So Anora is basically the story of this girl, Annie, who's 23 years old, and she works at a stripper in a New York strip club. And I think we all know what the life of a stripper is, more or less. She smiles and greets all these male patrons that come into the strip club and to strip in front of them and to give them lap dances and so on and so forth. So that gritty lifestyle is actually shown here. And Annie wants to be referred as Annie, not Anora. She lives with her parents in Brooklyn somewhere and seems to have no real emotional connection or involvement with them whatsoever. And but what you see, which I found interesting, is that when she leaves her job, when part of her job is to greet these male patrons and treat them like if there was a sense of intimacy, which of course there isn't. It's all fake, really, but it's for a buck or for a few bucks, and that's how she makes her living. It's her job. And she seems to enjoy what she is doing. That's the other part of this film that I think threw some people off maybe a little bit who didn't like this film or thought it was pornographic, which is ridiculous. But she is young, and to be fair, I mean, she probably could eventually migrate into other things in her life, but this is the job that she chose to do. It's just a job. She is not really having sex with these clients, not necessarily, unless she meets them outside of the strip club. But in the club, the males can touch them and all this, but that's as far as it goes. There are certain boundaries for sure. Now, one night rather, because she works nights, she meets Ivan, and this is a rich Russian 21-year-old kid who is delighted to know that she speaks Russian, and he wanted to meet her. And so her boss, Annie's boss, tells her about this kid Ivan. He wants to see her outside of her workplace. So she goes to his house, which is in a gated community, and it's essentially, he's rich. I mean, this guy lives in a waterfront mansion, and it belongs to his parents, one of them being, his father being a Russian oligarch, which I thought was kind of interesting and very timely for these times that we live in. So they have sex and this and that and the other, and then he says, can you stay for a week? And then one thing leads to another. There are these sex and drug parties and so on and so forth. A lot of drinking, a lot of sex, so on. I mean, exactly what you might expect to see. So eventually they go on this impromptu trip to Vegas, and this is where he proposes to her. And he says, marry me. And right there, I could have told this girl, please, don't do this. You don't know what you're getting into. First of all, the mansion, this waterfront mansion, doesn't belong to Ivan. This kid is, first of all, he's on a visa, so he's not even a citizen or a resident or a working resident of the United States. And so, but she goes along with it. He can get a green card, and then they can stay officially married. Well, this drives some people insane. One of them being Ivan's handler. Now, Ivan's handler, and I have to get this right, is an Armenian priest played by, I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name correctly, so forgive me, Karen Karagulian. I assume it's Karen Karagulian. We'll go with that. I should have checked the pronunciation prior, but sorry. So, he is Vanya's handler because the parents, Ivan's parents, are in Russia. So, he has to handle this kid somehow, who is a loose cannon, pretty much. And in a very funny scene, when he discovers by text that, that is to say, this Armenian priest, who's also his godfather, Vanya's godfather, that Vanya is getting married, he has to take him back to Russia but first of all, the godfather has to inform the parents, Vanya's parents, that he got married, and this is not a legal marriage. It wasn't sanctioned, et cetera, et cetera. So the parents have to come down and take this kid back to Russia. That's essentially how this story develops. And Annie's not having any of it. She says, look, this is my husband. I'm in love with him, and so on. And she really believes she's in love with him. And I did too. I mean, she clearly is in love with this kid. She gives up her job as a stripper because now he has money. Well, yeah, but it's not his money, really. It's his parents' money. And he's been sleeping in the parents' bedroom when his own bedroom has, toys and all sorts of things. This kid is just an immature little prick. So, and she doesn't know any better. Annie doesn't know any better. So that's really the development of the story. So what starts out as a gritty and stupendously vivid movie about the life of a stripper turns into a comedy of errors, a very hysterical comedy of errors, to the point that this guy Toros, who is Vanya's godfather, he is getting this text about Vanya getting married. And he is performing a christening at that moment. And he says, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I'm sorry. And he interrupts the whole thing and he takes off. I thought that was extremely funny. And he has two henchmen who meet at the mansion to get Ivan, to get a hold of him. And that's really what it becomes. Ivan takes off. Annie is being held back by one of the Russian thugs, if you like, who are really one of the nicest Russian thugs you'll ever see in a movie. They don't really cause a whole lot of harm other than one of them tying her up with a phone cord. So, but it really develops into a comedy of errors. The whole thing about searching for Ivan, going from club to restaurant, all over the place. Meanwhile, she is as foul-mouthed as you can imagine, cursing them out. Of course, Toros is cursing her out. It's insane, and I don't really want to say much more. It's a film to discover. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a terrific movie, and it is essentially not all that different. I mean, in certain respects, for sure, it's very different. But it's almost the same plot as Pretty Woman, except Ivan is a rich kid, but he just doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He doesn't really believe in love. Not yet. He's too immature to know anything about love. Richard Gere's character in Pretty Woman is, one of those corporate raiders. So it's different in that sense, but the idealized love is what she believes in, which of course Julia Roberts' character in Pretty Woman also believed in. But I love how the film develops, and it kept me on the edge of my seat. I didn't know from scene to scene where things were going to go. There are some violent episodes, which I don't mean violence in terms of bloodshed, but a lot of threats. There's at one point when their vehicle, Toros's vehicle, is being towed, and he gets in the car and pulls out, and the tow truck driver gets insanely mad. It says, I know your license plate number. I mean, all this stuff. Essentially, they're trying to get the marriage annulled. That's really the crux of their this comedy of errors that takes place in the second half of the picture. But I was really taken by it. Mikey Madison is the true star of this movie, a genuine young woman character who, despite a foul mouth and occasional foul moods, is changed when Ivan enters her life. So, as I said, she genuinely loves him, but that sense of intimacy between them she thought was really real, but she has no idea that he just basically took her along for a ride. This was like his newest purchase, was this girlfriend, but not really taking it very seriously, proposing marriage, but not really taking it seriously at the same time. So he turns out to be even more of a capitalist than Annie. And it's an insult to her and to realize that this love was fake. So when she has a job where she has to fake intimacy, here's a guy who basically maybe he did care about her a little, but he was faking the intimacy as well. You know what? But she wasn't. At her job, yes, but not with this guy, who turns out is, she doesn't see him as a client anymore. This has now become her husband. Um, so this is Anora is almost a raw, if that's the word for it, romantic comedy, and it has a lot of violent episodes and pratfalls, but involving Taurus's henchmen. But there's a very affecting final scene with Mikey Madison's Annie, and it involves one of the Russian henchmen, and she's in the car with this guy who presents her with the engagement ring that she thought was taken away because she wanted to keep that for herself. And he's just dropping her off to her home. I don't want to say any more than that. But her heartbreak, her emotions just come full force. And it was really something to see. This is a fearless actress. I can only imagine what she's going to do in the future, what types of roles, because she clearly has no boundaries herself. She's willing to go wherever I think a director wants her to go, so to speak. Whatever emotional trips a character takes, I think she's willing to go there. She probably will make more films with this director, I'm sure. Sean Baker, who knows how to handle this material beautifully. I mean, it really comes alive, this movie. I was just amazed by it. Now, I do want to address a frequent viewer, Diddy Kong 393. And he said to me that he asked me if I, because I said I was going to review this film. He wanted to know my thoughts about what Matt Walsh apparently said, which was that the film glamorizes the stripper life, or sex worker life, essentially. Well, first of all, I watched the Matt Walsh video. He didn't even see the film. He was going by Wikipedia description. So he really had no business on having any opinion about this movie. I don't think it really glamorizes anything. I think it just presents it as it is, and you take from it what you will. She, again, enjoys what she does, but, she's only 23 years old. I mean, eventually there's going to come a point where she's not going to keep doing this type of job, and I would hope not. I mean, I have nothing against someone being a stripper, but I don't think, after a while, you just don't want to keep doing this, no matter how much money you get. So, but that's just my thought on it. I'm not speaking for the character. I'm just saying I would think that at some point she would maybe, go into something else. So, hardly glamorous. But a roller coaster ride of a movie. This movie is infectious. It really is. It's insane. And as I said, violent episodes in terms of struggles and everything else. This is not a movie that has gore or blood. It's not that type of picture at all. It just evolves in a way that you just don't expect. In many ways, this could have been the perfect type of film for Quentin Tarantino to make. I could definitely see him making this type of picture. We all know he's going to make a final movie at some point. We don't know what it is, but this is something I could have seen him doing this type of picture. With no questions asked. I could see it. I don't know. There's something about it, the humor and the farcical situations and the intensity, and it just feels like it's something he could have done as well. But anyway, so those are my thoughts on Anora. So I just want to give a shout out to Diddy Kong 393 and of course Tim, who's been following my channel for a while, and I've known him from way back. Those are my frequent viewers. So what do the rest of you think? Did you like Anora? Really not going to get into whether I thought that was the best picture of 2024. I didn't really see the other nominees except for The Brutalist, which I didn't think that highly of. So I can't comment on that. But maybe some of you, I know that Tim, I think, said that he thought it was really the best movie of last year. So clearly some people do think it was worthy of that honor. So let me your thoughts. Tell me what you think of Anora or Mikey Madison or the director Sean Baker. And that's it. And thank you to the new subscribers. I did lose some subscribers. I don't know why. It happens, I guess. But I did gain a couple of more subscribers, so thank you. If you're new to this channel, please hit like and subscribe. And I review movies and talk about movie-related topics all the time. And if you're already a subscriber, hit that notification bell for future uploads. And that's all I got to say about Anora. So in my next video, I'll discuss William Friedkin's To Live and Die in L.A. I'll let you know what I think about that one. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.